This is the CBS Morning News for Tuesday, December 27, 2011. Duarte Geraldino is in Washington with more. Duarte, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Michelle Bachmann was certainly surprised by that defection, but such dramatic shifts have become common in the weeks leading up to the caucus, and now everyone is waiting to see what bold move will happen next. Bachmann already had her work cut out for her. A new CNN Time poll of Iowa Republicans shows only 9% would vote for her at next Tuesday's caucus. Novartis says if you have the recalled product, don't use it and contact the company for a refund. The FBI is also involved in this case, and investigators are looking into a tip that a car was seen near the house the night Ayla went missing. In New York, Duarte Geraldino for ABC News.
Duarte Geraldino is in Washington with the latest this morning. Duarte, good morning.
Good morning, Terrell. To experts, the sophistication of these Christmas Day bombings and their religious tint suggests that those responsible may have been trained outside of Nigeria. Charred and smoldering vehicles filled the street outside a Roman Catholic church in Nigeria, where a bomb exploded on Christmas Day. The explosion targeted worshippers who had just celebrated Christmas Mass. A radical Muslim sect claimed responsibility for a series of coordinated attacks in the country. Terrorists bombed 3 churches and a government security building, but this attack near the nation's capital was the deadliest. Almost 36 were killed and more than 50 injured.
You can see so many families gone. Household, the whole household gone.
Nigerian authorities carried some of the dead away in body bags. Officials in the country acknowledged they had difficulty at first getting help to the victims. The White House has issued a statement calling the attack senseless and tragic. It also says U.S. officials have contacted Nigerian authorities to offer assistance in catching the killers. The extremist group Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the bombings. They want Islamic law implemented across the country. Local Christian residents expressed their outrage. The death toll could have been even higher. Authorities caught at least one man who they say was armed with a bomb that never went off. The group is still developing and its strategies are evolving, but its name, Boko Haram, roughly translated, offers a hint at its goal. That name means Western education forbidden. Terrell?
Duarte Geraldino in Washington for us this morning. Duarte, thanks. Pope
With more. Duarte, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Michelle Bachmann was certainly surprised by that defection, but such dramatic shifts have become common in the weeks leading up to the caucus, and now everyone is waiting to see what bold move will happen next. Michelle Bachmann's campaign is dealing with another blow. Just hours after appearing with the Minnesota Congresswoman at an event Wednesday, her Iowa campaign manager, State Senator Kent Sorensen, defected, joining Ron Paul's team.
I think there's clearly 2 tiers of candidates. I believe Ron Paul is in that top tier, and I'm here to help him.
But Bachmann claims his decision wasn't just based on politics.
Kent Sorensen personally told me he was offered a large sum of money to go to work for the Ron Paul campaign.
Paul's team insists it did not pay Sorensen, accusing Bachmann of slandering the state senator. Bachmann already had her work cut out for her. A new CNN Time poll of Iowa Republicans shows only 9% would vote for her at next Tuesday's caucus.
Hello, welcome.
The poll's biggest surprise, former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum. After struggling for months, he suddenly surged to 3rd place with 16%. That's an 11-point gain since the beginning of December. One-time frontrunner Newt Gingrich, on the other hand, has plummeted to 4th place. Ron Paul is 2nd with 22%, just 3 points behind the leader, Mitt Romney.
The president said he wants to fundamentally transform America. I kind of like America.
Last night, the former Massachusetts governor drew one of his largest crowds yet at a town hall meeting in Iowa. He's hoping for an even bigger turnout at next week's caucuses. Now, the caucus isn't the end-all be-all, but it does show us all that whoever wins there will face a rough battle for the eventual Republican nomination. Whit?
Duarte Geraldino in Washington, thank you. Texas Governor Rick Geraldino is in Washington with more. Duarte, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Recent polls suggest that most Republicans who plan to attend the caucus are still open to the idea of changing their minds, so with so much at stake, presidential candidates are becoming increasingly aggressive.
I'm almost consider myself a resident here.
Rick Santorum was the only Republican presidential candidate campaigning in Iowa Monday, spending part of the day pheasant hunting. But the real hunt for the top spot in the Iowa caucuses will intensify today.
I'm going to do something to government I'm going to make it simpler and smaller and smarter.
Mitt Romney released a TV advertisement in the state as he tries to sway undecided voters. With only a week to go until the caucuses, the latest polls show a three-way race between Romney, Newt Gingrich, and Ron Paul.
Hey, man.
Rick Perry is trying to improve his position. He'll launch a bus tour today and also release a fresh ad in Iowa.
If Washington's the problem, why trust a congressman to fix it?
Paul, at the top of many polls in Iowa, won't be campaigning there today. His next event is scheduled for tomorrow. Gingrich and Michelle Bachmann will make numerous stops on their bus tours today as they hit the final stretch of campaigning. Historically, a victory in Iowa does not guarantee lasting success in the race for the Republican nomination, but it often forces some candidates who finish in the back of the pack to drop out, possibly thinning the field before the New Hampshire primary a week after the caucuses. The big unknown is obviously voter turnout. Some analysts believe a desire to win back the White House may bring more Republicans out. Whit?
Duarte, Geraldino in Washington, thank you. A belated
Political theater reached new heights in Washington.
This is a partisan middle-class mugging.
Where is the compromise? Where is the agreement?
One Seattle lawmaker used a red stocking and a piece of coal to symbolize the disappointment 160 million Americans would feel if their taxes go up on January 1st.
Remember the lump of coal in November of 2012, folks. They gave it to you.
House Republicans rejected the plan passed overwhelmingly in the Senate and backed by President Obama. It would have extended the 2% payroll tax cut for 2 months. Instead, the House passed a measure to begin immediate negotiations with the Senate to extend the payroll tax holiday for 1 year, as well as long-term jobless benefits.
We're proud of the bill that we passed. This is not a game. This shouldn't be politics as usual.
Extending long-term unemployment benefits would provide the average jobless person $300 a week. The Senate plan would only do so for 2 months, but also prevent a 27% cut in Medicare payments. But House Republicans insist on a 1-year plan.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out.
Political moves are getting bolder than big screen stunts.
This isn't Mission Impossible, Mr. Speaker. We don't need Tom Cruise to save seniors.
But with senators already gone for the holidays and less than 2 weeks left to the end of the year, it looks unlikely any deal will get done. In New York, Duarte, Geraldino for ABC News. Novartis is pulling bottles of Excedrin off store shelves. It's part of a voluntary recall that also includes Bufferin, Gas-X, and the caffeine caplets No-Dose. The Swiss drug maker says the over-the-counter pills may contain stray tablets from other Novartis products.
First of all, you need to definitely be concerned about the side effects if the drugs were mixed. And so some of the drugs that could have been mixed cause a lot more drowsiness than just your Excedrin or your Bufferin.
The recall is a result of major manufacturing issues at a Novartis facility in Nebraska, which was shut down last month after FDA inspectors found problems there. Novartis decided to pull the products after receiving complaints of mislabeled bottles and broken and chipped pills. The bottles in question are Excedrin and No-Dose that expire before December 2014, and Bufferin and Gas-X that expired before December 2013. Novartis says if you have the recalled product, don't use it and contact the company for a refund. The Food and Drug Administration says some of the Novartis over-the-counter pills may have also been packaged with powerful prescription painkillers. Endo Pharmaceuticals sells the drugs as Percocet, Endocet, Opena, and Zydone. But the FDA isn't recalling those painkillers because the risk of stray pills is low, and so many patients rely on those medications.
They don't want to create any kind of irrational fear.
Experts say look at your medications closely, and if you have any questions, contact your pharmacist. Duarte, Geraldino, CBS News, New York. On Monday, the Maine Warden Service focused its search effort for a missing little girl on the banks of a stream a few blocks from her father's home. Residents canvassed the neighborhood looking for her. No Amber Alert was ever issued.
We were not notified that Ayla was missing till about 8:50 a.m. or approximately 10 or 11 hours after she was last seen.
Sometime between 8 o'clock Friday night and Saturday morning, she seemingly disappeared. On Saturday, her father, Justin DePietro, dialed 911 to report his daughter was not in bed and couldn't be found. She was last seen wearing a shirt that read "Daddy's Princess" and with a soft cast on her left arm because of a fall 3 weeks ago. The toddler's parents are cooperating with police, but don't get along with each other.
I've had no contact with him. He's had no contact with me. All I know is he's the last man to see my daughter.
Trista Reynolds does not live with DePietro, but shares custody of their daughter. Yet a day before the toddler went missing, Trista filed a petition to gain sole custody.
He didn't know I went to file them. He'll know now, but I never told him.
On Monday, a police evidence van was parked in front of Ayla's father's home. State troopers stationed outside, not letting anyone but investigators in. 2 vehicles were towed from the home, but Waterville police wouldn't say why. Over the weekend, search dogs were used to track the little girl's scent, with no success. The FBI is also involved in this case, and investigators are looking into a tip that a car was seen near the house the night Ayla went missing. In New York, Duarte Geraldino for ABC News. It was sometime after 10 p.m. when Colgan Air Flight 3407 crashed into a Buffalo neighborhood, killing 50 people, including 1 man on the ground. Susan Burke's sister, Beverly Eckert, was one of the passengers.
We could not sit back and say, oh, well, we needed to do something. And we felt motivated by the memory of those people who died in that crash.
Now, nearly 3 years later, the Federal Aviation Administration is issuing new rules to keep fatigued pilots out of the cockpit.
This took too long. It took too long beyond the Colgan Air crash. But these things take a long time. We wanted to make sure we got it right.
The NTSB cited pilot error for the February 2009 crash. Neither pilot appeared to have slept in a bed the night before they arrived to fly. Under the new rules, a pilot can only work a 9 to 14-hour shift. Their flight time is limited to 8 or 9 hours. They must get a minimum 10-hour rest period between shifts, which must include a chance for 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Not everyone is convinced the new rules will help. In a written statement, the chairman of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee said, pilots must take personal responsibility for coming to work rested and fit for duty. The government cannot put a chocolate on every one of their pillows and tuck them in at night. The new rules are expected to cost the airline industry nearly $300 million over the next decade. The rules don't go into effect for 2 years, and they do not apply to cargo carriers. Duarte Geraldino for ABC News, New York. "80-mile-per-hour winds swept through parts of the South. In Alabama, a tornado ripped up trees along a 2-mile path and left homes barely standing.
I didn't even have time to get in the garage. They were just, it was ugly.
In Georgia, high winds tossed this family some 50 feet into their yard. Davison Sharif held onto his pregnant wife and toddler for dear life.
He bear hugged us, and we rolled through the yard, and we were all holding each other, and my son was in the middle of us. Yeah, he definitely saved our lives.
They were lucky. Powerful storms sent broken glass flying into the northern part of the state, causing multiple injuries.
A tree limb came straight down through our roof and hit right in our living room. I'm scared to death. I've never been in a situation like this, and it scares me.
Overturned cars littered highways. Downed trees took out power lines, leaving tens of thousands of people in the dark.
There it goes!
And in Southern California, Santa Ana winds made mighty trees tumble.
I thought it was coming down. I didn't know it would be as fast as it was.
Those same winds knocked over 2 tractor trailers in Fontana, California, and sent blinding amounts of sand into the air.
Well, it's been like this all day, and it's just hard to stand up out here. You know, you got sand blowing in your eyes, and I don't think it's letting up anytime today.
Those winds pushed a wildfire dangerously close to a housing division in Vallejo, California. And in the Southwest, a snowstorm is expected to make travel difficult as millions of Americans prepare for Christmas. Duarte Geraldino for ABC News, New York.